You have been patient long enough. Now be honest. There is a tiredness in you that sleep does not cure. You wake up and already feel late for a life you are not living. You smile. You function. You continue. And yet, something in you remains untouched. This tiredness is not weakness. It is the soul pressing its hand against the walls of your chest, asking to be let out. You learned how to survive. You learned how to carry conversations that never reached your heart. You learned how to nod while something inside you slowly disappeared. Survival taught you how to endure. But endurance was never the promise. It was only the threshold. And you have been standing in that doorway for far too long. There is a sound you hear late at night, not with your ears. A quiet pull, a restlessness, a sense that something essential has been forgotten. You try to distract yourself from it, but it returns again and again. That is not anxiety. That is memory. Something ancient inside you remembers a deeper rhythm than the one you are living. You keep looking outward. Another person, another belief, another moment that promises to finally complete you. But nothing outside of you can heal what was never broken. You are not empty. You are unopened. There is a grief you rarely name. Not grief for a person, not grief for a moment, but grief for a version of yourself that was never allowed to breathe. You felt it once, briefly, before the world taught you how to be careful. That grief returns every time you silence yourself to be accepted. You call it loneliness, but it is distance. Distance from your own truth. Distance from the fire that once lived without apology. You miss yourself, even if you do not know how to say it yet. You were taught that love must be earned, so you learned how to perform, how to be useful, how to be agreeable, how to be needed. But love was never meant to be a transaction. The sun does not ask who deserves its warmth. Why do you? There is a softness in you that frightens this world. So the world tried to harden you. But listen carefully. Softness is not fragility. It is sensitivity to truth. It is the courage to feel everything without turning away. Remain soft. That is how you become unbreakable. You have been loyal to versions of yourself that no longer fit. Out of fear, out of habit, out of guilt. But loyalty to what you have outgrown is betrayal of who you are becoming. Let the old skin fall. It has done its work. You keep asking when clarity will arrive. Clarity does not arrive like an announcement. It reveals itself in moments of honesty. When you finally admit what you can no longer tolerate. When you stop pretending. That almost is enough. The world will tell you to hurry. Do not believe it. Everything sacred moves slowly. Love ripens. Truth deepens. The soul unfolds. In its own time. Your only task is to stay present long enough to recognize it. You think peace comes when the noise stops. Peace comes when you stop arguing with what is. Nothing is wrong with this moment. Accept your resistance to it. Let it be. There is a wound in you that you keep hidden. Not because it is ugly, but because it is powerful. That wound is an opening, and light is waiting there. Enter it. What you avoid is what will free you. You are not lost. You are remembering. Slowly, painfully, honestly. And once remembrance begins, there is no return to sleep. You are held, even now, by something larger than your doubts. The same breath that moves through the stars moves through you. Trust that. Stop asking when your life will begin. It is already happening. Every breath is an invitation. Every moment is a meeting. You are not late. You are exactly where the fire needs you to be. Stay. Not in fear. Not in waiting. But in wonder. Because something within you is waking up. And once awake, it will never accept silence again. Something in you has already begun to stir. You felt it before these words reached you. A quiet recognition. A subtle trembling. As if something ancient has heard its name spoken. After a long silence. Do not rush past this feeling. This is how truth announces itself. You have lived many lives. Inside one body. You have been the obedient one. The strong one. The invisible one. The one who held everything together, while quietly falling apart. And still, you showed up. Still, you endured. Still, you are here. That alone is evidence of a strength you rarely acknowledge. There were moments you almost became yourself. Moments when your heart leaned forward before fear pulled it back. Moments when you spoke halfway and swallowed the rest. Moments when love knocked and you pretended not to be home. You remember those moments. They return as regret, only because they were honest. You were never afraid of love. You were afraid of what love would demand. Because love asks for presence. Love asks for risk. Love asks you to stop negotiating with your own truth. And you were taught that safety was more important than aliveness. So you learned how to adapt. You learned how to be smaller in rooms that could not hold you. You learned how to quiet your intensity so others could remain comfortable. You learned how to translate your depth into something easier to digest. But depth was never meant to be diluted. It was meant to be entered. There is a fire in you that does not want applause. It does not want permission. It wants honesty. And every time you betray it, even in small ways, you feel the cost. Not immediately, but slowly. As numbness, as restlessness, as a dull ache that no success can soothe. You call it exhaustion, but it is grief. Grief for the truth you keep postponing. Grief for the courage you keep promising yourself you will find later. Later has become your most convenient escape. You think you have time, but time is not the question. Attention is. Where you place your attention is where your life quietly goes. And you have been placing it everywhere, except where your soul is waiting. There is a reason. You are drawn to silence, not because you want emptiness, but because you are tired of noise that means nothing. Tired of conversations that skim the surface. Tired of roles that require performance instead of presence. Silence feels honest to you because it does not pretend. In silence, you meet yourself, and that meeting has frightened you before, because the self you meet does not ask for distraction. It asks for change. You are not confused. You are conflicted between who you have been trained to be and who you actually are. Confusion fades when honesty enters. But honesty has consequences. It rearranges lives. That is why you hesitate. Not because you are weak, but because you know, even if you never say it aloud, that once you choose truth, there is no return to comfortable falsehoods. You have already outgrown many spaces. You still occupy. You feel it in your body, in the way your breath tightens around certain people, in the way your energy drains from conversations that once excited you, in the way your soul leans forward when something real appears. Your body knows before your mind admits. Do not ignore that intelligence. It is older than your fear. You keep asking for certainty, but certainty is not given at the beginning. It appears only after movement, only after you take the first honest step. Without guarantees. Faith is not belief. Faith is willingness. You do not need to become someone new. You need to stop abandoning who you already are. The parts of you that feel too much. The parts that question deeply. The parts that refuse shallow living. Those are not flaws. They are signals. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be real. And reality is messy, tender, fierce, and unbearably alive. Something in you already knows this. That is why these words do not feel foreign. They feel remembered. Stay with that feeling. Not because it is comfortable, but because it is true. And truth, once felt, will never let you go back to sleep.